All right, guys, so got some bad news on the election front that I got to share with you. We got some new numbers that just came in. I'm going to get to those in a second, but first let's start with a little bit of what Kamala Harris has been leaning into recently. So as you all know, she did a campaign event with Liz Cheney not too long ago, and she thanked Dick Cheney for his service to the country, to which, as Jeremy Scahill pointed out, he said, "What service? Be specific. What are you thanking him for? I'd love for you to elaborate on that." She didn't. So, but that to me looks like a massive strategic misstep. On top of just substantively being bad, right? It's also a strategic misstep. Now, you have the RFKs of the world are out there saying, oh, the Democratic Party is now the party of Dick Cheney, and that can't be my party anymore. And that is a fucking bullshit argument because Donald Trump has Tom Cotton supporting him. He has Mike Pompeo supporting him. He has Lindsey Graham supporting him. If you want to do a count on which party has more neocons supporting them, sorry, RFK, you're going to lose. There are more neocons in the Republican Party than there is in the Democratic Party. And especially when you go to the voting base and their thoughts on the issues, Democratic voters are way more anti-war than Republican voters are, okay? So I hate that bullshit argument, but I also hate that Kamala gave these people ammunition to make a bullshit argument like that, right? Now, maybe they'd make that argument anyway, but you make it easier when you're like, hey, thank you, Dick Cheney, for endorsing me, right? So I think that's a strategic misstep. I think it's a substantive misstep as well. I don't like it. To be clear, I'm okay with her touting Republican support, but there's a good way of doing it and a bad way of doing it. You don't do it by taking a former congressperson whose approval rating is probably in the 30-something percentile range, and she voted 92% of the time with Trump, and you do an event with her holding hands and singing Kumbaya. I don't like that. A good way of doing it is to say, hey, here are a bunch of union voters who voted for Trump, and they're going to come out on stage and tell you how he's a con man and he didn't deliver on his promises, and they're endorsing me and Biden because we delivered for unions, right? Like that's how you do it. That's how you do it. But anyway, so she's leaning into this more now. So she comes out and says, this is on October 11th, today I am announcing that as president, I will create a bipartisan council of advisors to give feedback on policy and information and inform my administration. Our democracy needs a healthy two-party system. So, big reveal of a bipartisan council of advisors. Now, look, I understand what she's trying to do. She's a black woman, so unfortunately, the public is going to code her as far left. She's a black woman. She has to be far left. So she's really trying to counter that by leaning hard into, no, I'm not far left. I'm not far left. I promise you I'm not far left. But again, there's a good way of doing it and a bad way of doing it. What I would do if I was her, if I was advising her, is I would say, tell people you're a centrist. Tell people you're a moderate. Use the label centrist and use the label moderate, but then go on to say, I'm a moderate, and that's why I'm going to give all kids in America free school breakfast and free school lunch. I'm a moderate, and that's why we're going to do 12 weeks paid family leave and 12 weeks paid sick leave. I'm a moderate, and that's why we're going to ban price gouging. I'm a moderate, and that's why I want to do the $6,000 child tax credit. And look, to be fair to her, a lot of the policy that she rolled out are genuinely good. We gave her credit the other day because she wants Medicare to now cover home care. That's a phenomenal idea. It's a great idea. So a lot of the policies she's releasing are pretty good. It's just you got to package that together, lean into the right ones, and also label yourself a moderate and a centrist, as opposed to bear-hugging Republicans on a regular basis, especially neocon war criminals. Okay, so don't love this whole, bipartisan council of advisors thing. It smells a lot like Hillary 2016 to me. This idea of like, forget the base is locked in, we got to run to the right and get like 7 suburban wine moms who are former Republicans. It's like, it's a balancing act. You can't piss off your base too much where you're leaving votes there to pick up fewer votes among moderate Republicans. All right, we also have another example of this right here. I'm still baffled that Kamala Harris at a Univision town hall kept touting her endorsement by Bush's Attorney General Alberto Gonzales, who resigned in disgrace, as though that would mean anything to the audience. Kind of sums up how well this catering to the center-right is going. Yeah, so Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney, Alberto Gonzales, all these horrible, horrible people, horrible policies. Alberto Gonzales resigned in disgrace. There were so many scandals during the Bush administration, the torture scandal, the legal cover-up, all that. And it's like, I have Alberto Gonzales. Like, do you literally just think because he has a Hispanic name that it'll, like, get more Hispanic voters? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And so, look, guys, actions have consequences. And here are some of those consequences right here. 3 national polls on Sunday morning. So, okay, let me break this down for you. In the last poll in September, in the ABC poll, Kamala was +6. CBS was actually +4, and NBC was +5. So She was +6, +4, and +5 in the September polls, right? In the new ABC poll, she's only up 2 instead of 6. In the new CBS poll, she's up 3 instead of 4. And in the NBC poll, she's now tied instead of being +5, which she was last time. The new strategy is not working. Guys, they came out of the gate so fucking hot. It was looking like it was going to be a landslide because their trend was phenomenal. And what were they doing at the time? At the time, it was, these guys are fucking weird. They are seriously weird. Yeah, they're a threat to democracy. Yeah, they're authoritarian, but they're also just fucking weird. The shit they care about, the shit they talk about, the shit they say. You got a party that tries to ban IVF and wants to ban no-fault divorce and wants to ban pornography and 39 Republican senators voted against gay marriage like last year. This is a settled debate. What are we doing here? They're weird. That was working. We're not going back was working. Embracing freedom and patriotism and stealing that from Republicans was working. And then guess what? We covered what happened the other day. Kamala took on board a lot of the Biden team people. And they, in their first meeting with her, they said, listen, the weird thing is too negative. The we're not going back thing is too negative. You got to drop it. And they dropped it. And now look at what's happening. It's a mix of that and like hiding Tim Walz in a basement. This is what happened. This is what happened. So look, the good news is Trump is running one of the worst campaigns I've literally ever seen, right? Like way worse than Trump, even 2020. Like leagues worse than Trump 2016. Like this is the worst campaign I've ever seen anybody run ever. So Trump's doing so bad, it might not matter, but there'd be a comfortable 7, 8, 9, 10 point lead if they kept leaning into the original strategy, right? So just go back to that strategy. It's not, it's not fucking rocket science. You were up the most when you were doing the things that were cool and that were interesting and that were, clear lines of demarcation between you and the Republicans. It does undercut your message. I understand what they're trying to do, but it does undercut your message when you say they're anti-freedom, we're pro-freedom. They're weird, we're not weird. They represent the past, we're not going back, we represent the future. You have these clear lines of like, we are good, they are bad, and then you undercut it when you're like, and here's all these Republicans that I'm welcoming aboard, and that's great, and now I'm going to have a bipartisan committee to help me with my policies. It's like, well, what is it? And, as David Dole points out here, our buddy at the Rational National, Kamala Harris, Republicans want to control your body and are a threat to democracy, and I can't wait to work with them so they can tell me what to do. Now, again, I get it. As somebody said on Twitter, it's like, well, she's probably only talking about putting like Adam Kinzinger as the head of the VA, which is like, who cares, right? And it's like, okay, like I get it. But the question is, will this work strategically? And I think the evidence is it's not. Now, as of this moment, her average in the polls hasn't really been brought down too much. But if this trend continues, she will drop 2 points or so in the average. And wouldn't we rather see the opposite of her going up 2 or 3, right? And if they go back to that original strategy, it'll work. It'll work. So it's that simple. Some big missteps coming. Stop listening. Okay, the DNC consultant class are fucking idiots. They are idiots. The Biden team are fucking idiots. They are idiots. Don't listen to them. If they tell you to do something, if you reliably do the opposite, you will do better. So if they take anything away from this segment, and geez, I hope somebody near her sees this, understand those people are wrong. Those people are bad. Those people want to run every single campaign as if it's 1992 and it's Bill Clinton and it's the New Democrats and it's triangulation. Get that out of your mind. It is not 1992. It is not 1996. The year is 2024. And the Republican on the other side is a fucking fascist authoritarian freak. And you need to define the terms as such and react accordingly. They were doing that. They're not doing it now, but hopefully they can get back to it. All right, guys, that's the show. Thank you all very much, as always, for listening to me babble. I truly, truly appreciate it. Everybody do me a big favor. Please like and subscribe and, all that fun stuff. I would deeply appreciate it. And, you can support the show on Patreon, or you could tip with the thanks button on YouTube. I don't take any money from billionaires. I don't do any brand deals. I don't have any weird foreign countries supporting me. It's just the default ads on YouTube and your guys' support through Patreon and your guys' support for Crystal Kyle and friends on Substack. All right, I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.